Good afternoon, here is the Rancilio Silvia V5E, and this is the Rancilio Rocky grinder. I'm just doing this video to make a latte on it, show you how it works, and kind of demonstrate the machine functioning and everything, with a little bit of tips and tricks here and there. So the E in the Rancilio V5E name, the E means that it's the economic model, so there's the M and the E. The E is the one that turns off after half an hour. So this is the power button. It's a power saving feature where after half an hour it will turn off. The V5M is the one that keeps on forever, in case you use it for a small cafe or something. Anyway, so very good condition. I would rate it a 9 out of 10. Some light scratches here and there, so especially around the cup tray where you have your cups in and out. And some very light marks, but honestly nothing too bad, and I'm very happy with this condition. Obviously no rust on the bottom at all, and works like new. The grinder as well is in very good condition, works like new, no issues whatsoever. And as you saw in the photos, it also comes with other accessories like a heavy duty Rancilio tamper, very nice, with a holder as well. A knockbox, a few other filter baskets for the portafilter, and a brush and cleaning solution. So the machine is on now. It's been on for about half an hour maybe. It usually takes 5-ish minutes to turn on. I recommend keeping it on for as long as possible, so maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes, just to make sure the system is warmed up. And I like to just ensure that everything's warmed up. I like to run a blank shot. So that is like just hot water, pressing the coffee button, running hot water through the system without any coffee. It'll warm the system on the inside, the pipes, it'll warm the head and the handle. And if you put your cup, it also warms your cup as well. So it's a nice little tip that I like to give people. If there's any dirt or coffee, this will also clean the machine. So it's good in every way. Maybe only 10 seconds, should be fine. To run hot water through the system. This machine is made in Italy, so it's made with very heavy duty components on the inside, and even on the outside it's stainless steel everywhere, and iron frame, and even the portafilter, it's actually the same portafilter that they use in the coffee shop machines, the industrial machines that they have in the coffee shops. Very importantly with this machine, you have to always make sure it has enough water, so you can't see the level of water from the outside. You have to open and check, and you should always ensure that it has enough water in the tank. If it doesn't, you'll run into issues with the heating coil, and you might damage your machine if you run the machine when there's no water in the water tank. And a good preventative measure that I like to do every time that I use this machine is very simply just run hot water through the wand, and that's pretty much the best thing you can do to prevent this. So the 4 buttons here are quite simple. Power, this is coffee through the grip head, this is hot water through the steam wand, and this is the steam button. So this, you press this when you make your coffees, it will run hot water through the grip head. This will run the same, it will do hot water through the steam wand, and this button actually engages steam mode, so you press this to warm the water inside and boil it so that you can get some steam from the steam wand. So if I open the steam tap here when the machine is not in any mode, so it's in standby at the moment, I might get some hot water, but that's about it. If I press the hot water button, it will actually pump hot water through the steam wand. And you can use this for maybe warming up your cups, for making tea, for Americanos, and even, like I said now, to make sure that the boiler is filled and to make sure that you have the machine is ready to use, you just run hot water. And if you get hot water through here, that means your boiler is filled. And that's really good. There we go. if I turn this button and I open the tap and there's no hot water, I'll just wait until I see hot water and then I'll turn it off. So you close the thing and then press the button. This is very important, like I said, especially when making steam and making a lot of coffees back to back, because when you make steam, the water will boil and the boiler will empty without even filling. So it's really important to run hot water through and make sure it's full. Okay, and the steam button will turn on the steam mode, I guess. And you see, so the green light means the machine is powered on. So for example, that means the machine is powered on and plugged in. This means that the boiler is heating. So when I turn it on, this will turn red. That means the boiler is heating up. When it turns off, that means the boiler is not heating up. It's up to temperature. When I press this, obviously go into steam mode, I'll need to boil the water and increase temperature, so it will go red. When the machine is ready to steam, this will turn off. And then you just open the steam tap to steam your milk, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Just to demonstrate again, I like to run hot water through steam mode when I turn the machine on. Whoops, make sure you don't touch it, it's really hot. Press the hot water tap. Very easy. So if I see hot water through here, I'm happy. And you can actually use the hot water tap function to cool down the boiler if it's really hot after steam mode. So that's sort of like a multifunctional button. Anyway, let's make a coffee, shall we? I'll put my cup on the side. So after running a few blank shots, the mug is quite hot now. Even the portafilter, it's piping hot, which is very good. I'm gonna grab a tissue and dry my portafilter here. Very important. And with this machine, it has a drip tray under this grill, so make sure you always empty that before it gets full, otherwise it will spill. You don't want it to spill. Okay, portafilter dry. For consistency, I recommend you get a scale to kind of measure how much coffee you're getting in the portafilter. It's highly recommended. So I'm just going to calibrate the scale. So I'm going to use the scale to measure how much ground coffee I have in the portafilter and how much espresso I get after I make the coffee. So just turn it on. This is the biggest basket that's included with this deal. So this is, I think, 16 grams. I think I have the 14, 12 and the 10. I'm not exactly sure, I've never used those. The grinder at the moment is set at number 7. Yeah, so 0 being the finest. 0 is very, very, very fine. You don't need to go below 5 or below 7 actually for this espresso setup. So the grinder is quite good because it has a very wide range. So 0 is probably Turkish coffee if you want to make Turkish coffee, but I wouldn't go too fine for espresso, and I wouldn't go on 0 or 1 or 2 for very long, because obviously that means the burrs are very close together, and I feel like it's not good for the burrs if you keep them close together. At the moment it's at number 7. I'm using just supermarket beans to make this video, but I recommend you get as fresh beans as possible. Anything from your roasters or your cafes should be good. Yeah, so with this bean I found that at number 7 it's very good and it flows really nicely. So if you see the coffee come out of the portafilter very quickly, you make your grind setting one setting finer. If it's too slow, you make it one setting coarser. So I did that and I found at number 7, maybe number 8 even actually. Number 7 is where I have the best flow, and you'll see that in a second. To change the setting, you press this button and you twist, but you should only do this when the machine is running, so when the grinder is spinning. To engage the grinder, you have a on-off switch here, so I keep it on, and then this button engages the motor. So it'll take about 15 seconds to grind the double shot quantity. It's a bit more. Perfect, that's 16 grams. Okay. So, after you've ground the coffee, you want to tamp it nice and firmly. So, just like that. You want to apply very good pressure to make sure the coffee is forced down and compacted nicely. If you don't have a scale, there's like you can kind of see the tamper, and you want to tamper as deep as the tamper sort of depth, maybe a bit less actually. So just like this. And there's a line, I think that this is the line that you should dose up to. I could be wrong. But yeah, this is how I set it up. So with this setup, so it's actually just below the line on the inside, and just below the thickness of the tamper. This is about 16 grams. Let's see. Yeah, 16 grams. Perfect. Make sure it's flat, no holes, no bumps, and clean the edges. Maybe run hot water just one more time too. I think it will clean any dirt as well if you had dirt in there as well. Or some people do this to cool the water down if it's too hot. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I think this is good enough. Twist the portafilter, but don't over tighten it, especially because the group head seal at the moment is quite in good condition, so you don't want to push it all the way. So even at 6 o'clock or maybe 6.5, so just a bit to the left, that's okay. If you don't tighten it at all, you obviously will leak from here because it's not very tight, but I think this is tight enough. This is a single boiler machine, so you can you can't actually use the steam wand and make coffee at the same time. So a good routine to sort of make coffee really quickly. Some people like to steam first and then cool the boiler down and then make coffee. In the video I'm just going to do the other way around, just because I think that's how I'm used to it. I'm going to make the espresso first, as I showed you how to grind and how to dose. Let's make the espresso now, and then we can do the milk after. So I'm going to add some sugar to my cup. It's best to add the sugar or the syrups before the espresso so that it mixes nicely. That's my opinion at least. I like to add some hot water just to dissolve my sugar. There we go. Now I'm going to use my scale to measure how much espresso we get. So you want to pay attention to two things. How much coffee comes, to a few things actually. Keep an eye on the flow. You want to see how quickly the coffee comes out, and like the consistency. You want to time the shot to see how long it'll take, and again you want to see how much the coffee gives you in this time. So I'm going to use the scale. I'm going to stop the machine when it's about 32 to 35 grams of coffee. I'm just used to the volume of coffee by eye. Over time you will know what 30 grams looks like. It's about this much on this mug. I'm going to use the scale just to be sure. And I want to also pay attention to how quickly the coffee comes out. So, not to make this any more complicated, let's turn on the button. Then I'm going to start the timer when the first drop comes out. Okay. Here's my coffee. Not sure if you can see. Let's stop it there. It's about 15 seconds. Here we go, about 30 grams in 15 seconds. So that's, I think, on time. The recommended is 32 in, so 32 grams in 20 to 30 seconds. So this is 29. I think it's alright. Take it out. Just use the knock box to dump it out into the bin. I don't have that set up, so I'm just going to use my bin. Very good. And after that, I'd just like to quickly run a blank shot. Keep in mind that after you do this, your drip tray will be a little bit full, so make sure you empty the drip tray shortly after this. There's a few other factors other than the weight and the time, so things like tamping and the freshness of the bean. If your beans are really stale, really old, the flow will be really quick. And if you don't tamp properly, or if you have holes or gaps in the coffee, the flow will be also quick. So it's a bit of a science. There's a few, you'll need to experiment and try a few things to make sure you get the best coffee. Okay, so that's my espresso shot. I'm happy with that. Again, 2-to-1 ratio, so 16 grams in, multiply that by 2. I want 32 grams out, roughly, more or less. 32 grams out in about 20 to 30 seconds. And the time starts from the first drop. And you want to take a look at the flow. So the flow, I'm pretty sure you couldn't see it because of the cup design, but the flow was nice and smooth out of the spouts, and that kind of indicates how good the coffee shot is. Let's do the steam now. Turn on the steam mode. Wait a few seconds so maybe about a minute until the light goes off. So this is when the boiler will heat up to boiling temperature. And when the light goes off, it's ready to go. So in the meantime, I'm going to empty my drip tray, which is a little bit full. So it didn't spill, that's good. Like I said, if you don't empty the tray soon enough, you might get spillage. Make sure you dry the base to prevent any rust. Fun fact, if you want bigger cups, you can take this off and just put the cup here, but by default, this machine likes to use smaller cups, so this is the tallest cup it will use. Any taller than this and it won't actually fit. Okay. So I recommend you get a metal milk jug if you're going to use the milk wand often. I've filled the milk up to maybe here, using full cream cold milk. So this machine has incredible steaming capabilities. It'll be really loud, so you should brace yourself. Very, very, very strong steam, just like the machines they use in the cafes. So you'll need to learn the technique and learn how to use it to get good coffees. So I'm aiming for a latte, so I'm not gonna inject too much air into my milk. The technique I'm gonna use is just try to spin the milk, keep the wand close to the surface, so I can inject a little bit of air, and it'll be done in no time. So. Okay, when I can't touch the milk jug for too long, so I'm going to turn off steam mode now that I've finished. You can turn off steam mode even halfway through the steaming. But anyway, when I can't touch the milk jug for too long, I'll turn it off so that I don't burn my milk. So I think this is about right. 60 degrees is the recommended temperature. So before I move on, I'm going to grab a wet towel. I'm going to grab a wet towel and wipe my steam wand straight away. And after that, I'm going to purge my wand to remove any milk from the insides. There we go. Nice and clean. Make sure you don't burn your hand. And yeah, keep the machine as dry as possible, as clean as possible, and it will last 20-30 years easy. These machines have survived for at least 20 years because they're very, very well made, and if you take care of them, they'll take care of you. Simple. Yeah, I'm not going to let my milk or my espresso stay out for too long. Usually I'm a bit quicker with making my coffees, especially because I start with my steaming first. And I don't talk this much in day-to-day life. So yeah, don't let the milk or the coffee stay out for too long. And here's my milk, very nice and creamy. I'm going to tap it down just to break any bubbles and mix it up just like that. Sweet. Very easily you can do a latte art with this machine. With a little bit of practice, it's very, very easy to do. I haven't done it today. This is the latte. And this is the machine up close. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's a very, very good setup. And if you have any questions in the meantime or even after, feel free to message me. More than happy to help. But hopefully you won't need me. And I'll see you soon anyway. Cheers.